Have you ever been disappointed after knowing someone closer? At the beginning of the introduction, they look so good. They are friendly, smiley, and know exactly how to make others feel comfortable. They say things we want to hear. They show attention that makes us feel appreciated. And unknowingly, we start to trust them. But as time goes by, things start to change. People who used to look careful are only present when they need something. People who used to look honest often deny promises. People who used to look loyal are easy to leave. Others when things are no longer beneficial. Then we ask ourselves, how could I misjudge someone? The answer is simple, because we often judge the character of what is visible on the surface. Since childhood, we are taught to smile at others. We are taught to be polite. We learn how to create a good impression in front of others. And the same thing is done by almost everyone in this world. The problem is, the first impression is not character. The first impression is just the self-expression that the world wants to show. Character is something much deeper. Character is who someone is when no one sees. Characters are the choices they take when no compliments wait. Characters are actions they take when no profit can be earned. Unfortunately, many people too quickly believe what they see on the surface. They believe in beautiful words. They believe in convincing promises. They believe in intentionally built imaging. Though humans are social creatures who are very skilled wearing masks, not because everyone is bad, but because everyone wants to be accepted. Everyone wants to look good. Everyone wants to gain trust from others. That's why, if you want to understand someone's character, there is one rule you should always remember. Never judge someone just by what they show when everything goes well. Because almost everyone can look good when life is comfortable. The more important question is, who are they when things are no longer supportive? Who are they when no one is paying attention? And who are they when there is no reason to pretend? That's where the journey to understand the human character actually begins. One of the biggest mistakes many people make is to trust words too much. They listen to what a person says and then consider it as proof of character. In real life, words are the easiest things to give. Someone can say that he is honest. One can say that he is loyal. Someone can say that he cares. However, the character is not proven by speech. Character is proven through repeated actions. Imagine there are two people. The first person always speaks about the importance of honesty. He often advises others. It looks wise and convincing. While second people rarely talk about honesty. He doesn't like giving lectures. It even looks ordinary. But when facing a difficult situation, the first person lies to save himself. The second person still speaks honestly even if they have to bear the loss. Who has better character? Of course, the answer is not the most good person to speak, except the person who is able to prove these values through action. This is why people who are experienced in life rarely judge a human by his speech. They prefer to observe. They pay attention to habits. They pay attention to the small decisions that a person makes every day. Because true characters always appear in patterns. One lie may be a mistake, but the repeated lies are patterns. A forgotten promise may be a negligence, but the promise that is constantly breached is pattern. One good action may be a coincidence, but the kindness that continues to be done even when no one sees is pattern. And patterns are much more honest than words. The problem is many people can't wait to observe patterns. They want to believe immediately. They want to be sure immediately. They want to feel safe immediately. As a result, they are often deceived by convincing looks. The character takes time to look. Characters do not appear in one day. Character is revealed through hundreds of small decisions that a person has made over the years. Therefore, if you want to read someone's character, don't focus too much on what they say about themselves. Focus on what they do when no one asks. Focus on the habits they keep repeating. Focus on the patterns that always appear in their lives. Because in the end, humans can fake words. But it is very difficult to fake patterns in the long run. And when you start to notice patterns, you will see something that words can never show. That is the real character. If you want to know someone's original character, don't look at how they act when something can be obtained. Look at how they act when there is no profit at all. It is one of the simplest but also the most accurate character exams. Because of the fact, almost everyone can be nice when there is a reward waiting in front of them. It is easy to smile at someone who has influence. It is easy to help someone who can one day reply to such help. It is easy to show goodness when there is compliments, rewards or profits that can be obtained. But true characters begin to be seen when all of those advantages disappear. Imagine there was a wallet that fell down the street. No camera, no witnesses. No one saw. What a person does at such a moment often says more about himself than 1,000 words he has ever spoken. Because character is not what we do when we are noticed. Character is what we do when no one is paying attention. The same is true in everyday life. Watch the person who keeps the promise even if there are no consequences if he cancels it. Watch for people who keep working earnestly even if their supervisor is not watching. Watch for people who keep doing good to others even if they don't get compliments. They are showing something very rare in the modern world, integrity, and integrity is one of the most valuable forms of character. Instead, there are people who look amazing in public, but change totally when no one sees. They talk about honesty, but like to take advantage of the gap when there is a chance. They talk about loyalty, but leave others when things are no longer profitable. They talk about kindness, but only good to people who can provide benefits. This is where many people are deceived. They judge a person based on what is visible on the surface. True character is often hidden in small decisions that have never been published. Therefore, if you want to understand who someone really is, don't just look at how they act when something they can get. Watch who they are when there is no gift, no compliments, no profits, because that's where the real character starts to be seen. And often, characters that appear at such moments are the most honest. There is a life lesson that many people learn after years of disappointment. If you want to know someone's character, don't see how he treats important people. See how he treats the unimportant person in his eyes. Why? Because almost everyone is able to be polite to those who have power. Almost everyone is able to show respect to those who can give an advantage. But not everyone is able to show respect to someone who has nothing to offer. Watch how someone speaks to a restaurant waiter. Notice how he treats the cleaning officer. Notice how he behaves to security guards, drivers, or people who often get no attention from the public. Because at that time, the social mask began to weaken. That's when you see how someone really looks at another human being. There is a very friendly person to his superiors, but rude to his subordinates. There are people who are very polite to the rich, but underestimate the people who are considered ordinary. There are people who smile at influential people, but lose respect when dealing with those who can't benefit. And unknowingly, they are showing their character, because true respect does not depend on status. True respect comes from the realization that every human being has the same value and dignity. Unfortunately, many people only respect positions, not human beings. They respect the office. They respect power. They respect money. But when all the symbols were gone, their respect disappeared. This is the reason why the way a person treats people around him is often the most honest mirror of his character. And there is one thing to remember. The way someone treats others today can be the way he treats you in the future. Maybe today you are in a favorable position, so you get good treatment. But one day things can change. Status can change. Life conditions can change. And when that happens, someone's original character will determine how they treat you. Therefore, do not be too fascinated by how someone treats important people. Notice how he treats people who can't give anything. Oftentimes, that's where true characters speak the most honestly, and that's where you will find who someone really is. If the first impression is the stage, then the pressure is the back room where one's original character appears. There is a reason why many relationships end after going through difficult times. There is a reason why we often say, "I don't think he is like that." Because as long as things go well, almost everyone is able to display the best version of him. It is easy to smile when life is comfortable. It is easy to look patient when everything goes according to plan. It is easy to be nice when there is no problem to deal with. But life never lasts like that forever. Sooner or later, everyone will face pressure. Maybe a failure, maybe it's a loss, maybe a rejection, maybe a criticism hurting self-esteem. And when the pressure comes, something interesting starts to happen. The mask slowly cracked. Someone who has been looking calm may turn into very emotional. Someone who always talks about patience may lose control when facing small problems. A person who often advises others about maturity may blame everyone when his life does not go as expected. Not because they changed, but because the pressure reveals what has been hidden. Imagine a tea bag. While we are out of hot water, we don't really know what it is. But when put in hot water, the whole content and color start to be visible. Pressure is the hot water of life. When a person is under pressure, the actual nature begins to appear to the surface. Notice how a person reacts when angry. Does he respect others, or did he immediately attack with painful words? Watch how someone faces failure. Will he be responsible, or is he always looking for scapegoats? Notice how someone receives criticism. Will he learn and grow, or did he immediately feel attacked and reject all inputs? The answers to these questions often reveal characters deeper than years of conversation, because characters are not tested when life is easy. Characters are tested when life is difficult, and the greater the pressure a person faces, the clearer who he really is. That is why a wise person does not only observe how a person acts when happy, they also observed how a person acts when injured, because often most honest characters appear at such times, having understood that action is more important than words, and pressure is able to open a human mask. There is one last lesson that is no less important. Never judge a person's character by just one event. This is a very often made mistake. When someone does one great kindness, we immediately consider him a good person. When someone makes one big mistake, we immediately think of him as a bad person. Man is much more complex than that. Characters are not built in one day. Character is the result of habits that have been repeated for many years. Therefore, one action does not always describe who a person is. More important is the pattern. Imagine someone who is late to fulfill their appointments. Maybe it was just a mistake. There may be circumstances that he cannot control. But if he constantly denies promises, it is no longer a mistake. It's a pattern. If someone once lies out of fear or panic, it can be a momentary weakness. But if lies continue to appear in various situations, then lies have become part of their character. Similarly with good things, a person who repeatedly shows honesty, responsibility, and respect to others is building patterns that show the quality of his character. This is why emotionally mature people are not easily fascinated by one action. They don't believe directly because someone looks good. They also do not immediately hate just because someone makes one mistake. They give time. They observe. They pay attention to habits that continue to emerge over time. Because patterns almost never lie. One can fake an image for a few days. One can pretend for a few weeks. Some people can keep masks for months. But it's very difficult to keep the same mask for years. Sooner or later, the original pattern will appear. Sooner or later, true habits will be visible. And when that happens, you no longer need an explanation, because repeated actions have spoken on their own. This is the reason why a wise person prefers to observe rather than rush to conclude. They understand that true characters are not found in a single moment. Characters are found in repeated patterns. And anyone who learns to see patterns will be much harder to be deceived by looks, promises, or words that sound beautiful. After understanding how to read the characters of others through their actions, stresses, and behavior patterns, one essential question arises. What is all this science for? Many people spend time judging the weaknesses and lies of others, but are blind to themselves. The most important figure of your life is not the person around you, but yourself. Therefore, the biggest challenge is to read your own character. Ask yourself honestly, do you remain principled when you are alone? Do you stay honest when lying is more profitable? Do you stay calm under pressure? Growth begins with honesty, answering these difficult questions. Strong characters do not grow instantly. It is built from small decisions every day. When it is honest, keeps promises, and does right without expecting rewards. Character is not born, but rather the result of the habits and choices we make. So instead of being busy looking for or demanding others be honest and fair, be that person first. The world doesn't need more character critics, but people who have real integrity while life is difficult. True character is not visible from what we say, but from what we choose. The highest essence of learning to read human characters is not to judge others. The biggest lesson is to have the courage to glass and improve yourself. When you manage to build strong characters, you are not only wise in choosing a circle of friendship, but also grow into a trustworthy and respected person. If you want to customize this text again, let me know if you want to convert it into compact points format or change its language style to more relaxed.